Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm going to be doing battle with the great Phistomefel today. This gives me one of my great pleasures in life. I don't know what more I can say about this constructor. Just an astonishing mind, and whenever there's a new Phistomefel puzzle, I do try and prioritize it. There is one Phistomefel puzzle I've not done yet. I'm a bit scared of it. It's got skyscrapers in it, and apparently it's monstrously difficult, and I find skyscrapers very intimidating. So I'm gonna make sure I have an enormous window of time before I even look at that one. For a video, but lots of you have been suggesting I try this one, which is called Team Sum Sudoku. I have read the rules. They are completely original. I have never seen a puzzle with this rule set before, and when I read them to you, you will think, good grief, how can that possibly work? Because that is what I thought. Anyway, we'll have a look at this. It has got 5 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters generally, so probably a little harder than yesterday's puzzle, which was still great, by the way. If you haven't checked out that, Multiple Killer Primes, which came to us via Reddit recommendations, really cool thing. And some people have been doing that in just 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, a different sort of puzzle. Now, what do I have to tell you about? There's loads going on. On Wednesday night, we're streaming at 10 p.m. UK time. Love to have your company for that. We're going to do more Dungeons and Diagrams. Do I have a picture of Dungeons and Diagrams? No, I don't have a picture of Dungeons and Diagrams, sorry. But we're hoping we might be able to actually finish that game in one more stream. So that's our objective. There's this crossword video that, I think it's going to be the biggest crossword video we've ever featured on the channel. And this is it's the work of Steve Pemberton. Hang on, we're shrinking this ever more to try and get it into the screen. And it was featured in an episode of Taskmaster, and just loads of you loving that, which I can't tell you how delighted I am about that. And I think that Steve would be as well, because that was the question he was answering on the show, was what should people get into? And the fact that so many people seem to be finding that video and enjoying a cryptic crossword, I think is, well, Steve has achieved his objective. I'll try and remember to put a link to that video on the screen. And then what else did I need to mention? Oh, well, over on Patreon, you've still got a week left to enter Glum Hippo's fantastic snake egg Sudoku hunt. So do have a look at that. And then I've got a couple of announcements to make today. I'll start off by wishing Charlie the very best of luck this week. Charlie is 10 years old and is doing his SATs this week, or SATs they're sometimes called. And I know this, Charlie, because your dad Logan wrote in and said you might appreciate a shout out. I think you use the videos to relax. And Charlie, Logan has guaranteed chocolate cake at the end of the week. So once the exams are over, make sure you get an enormous amount of chocolate calories. Good luck. And also Andrew, now this isn't an SATs announcement. Andrew, it's your birthday. You've turned 46 today, I believe, over there in Iowa. And I know this because your wife Carrie wrote to us. And Carrie said, the moment she hears the Cracking the Cryptic music, she knows that your working day is done. That's when you finished your work. So there's a bit of a tell there. You might have to be careful with that, Andrew. Anyway, many happy returns. I hope you also get chocolate cake. Now, that's all the announcements. Let's get on with Team Sum Sudoku. Check out these rules. Here we go. I've got an example as well. So when we're baffled, we'll be able to study that together. Divide the digits from 1 to 9 into 2 teams such that every digit from 1 to 9 is in exactly one of the 2 teams. Thereby, the finished grid has areas which contain only digits from one team and are bounded by digits of the other team and/or the border of the grid. A numbered clue gives the sum of all the digits in such an area. Digits may repeat in such an area, and the sum clues are in an arbitrary position within the area. Each area has at most one clue, but may also have none at all. And thank goodness there's an example so we can study this and see how it works. Now this is obviously for a 1 to 4 grid. So Right, so I think the shading at the bottom is saying that in the finish grid, the 2 and the 3 are in one team, and the 1 and the 4 are in a different team. Yeah, okay, and then the 9 clue, I can see that that is made up of 2 4s and a 1, adding up to 9, and that green area there is completely bounded by grey, isn't it? And then the 3 clue is just a 3 sitting on its own. Yeah, okay, so I do sort of understand that. And I think let's just check some of the other rules. So I think one of the rules is saying that the clues, in this case the 3 and the 9, could be in any position. So it would be perfectly possible for that to have had the 9 in it, for example. It doesn't have to be in the top leftmost corner of the area. So it's not like killer Sudoku. In killer Sudoku, you'll always find that the cage total is in the top leftmost cell of the cage. That is not necessarily the case here, so we can't use that logic. Now, was there anything else that struck me as I read the rules apart from bafflement? Maverick's about to fly past. Unsurprising. I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't sound simple at all, but it does sound understandable, and that at least gives us a way that we might be able to approach the puzzle. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. I'll reset the clock and say, let's get cracking. Now, how do you start a team sum Sudoku? These clues presumably are telling us something. I have a feeling it's going to be box 1 though, but I'm going to just think about these two for a moment, because these, what are we saying here? We're saying these can't be the same in the same team, or can they? Hang on, now I'm confused. No, they can't be in the same team. I don't think they can be in the same team. Yeah, because if they were in the same team, they should be bounded by... Yeah, so if these, let's use colours. If those were both in the same team, yeah, that's okay. That's got 2 clues in it. Each area has at most 1 clue, and an area is sort of in one team. Right, so these are in different teams. So let's put them in different teams. Now, what does that mean? So I think one of these has to be a 4 on its own. That might be wrong. Well, obviously one of them, I mean, you could do a 1-3 pair, couldn't you? Okay, right. Yes, here is a point. This, one of these is a 4, because there aren't 2 ways of making up 4 if you don't use a single 4 in one of those. 4 could be a 1-3 pair, couldn't it? That's fine. That could be one way of making a total of 4. But the other, if this was, well, if this wasn't allowed to be a solitary 4, what could it be? And the reason that becomes impossible is that 1 and 3 have been hypothecated to the other team. So the only digits that we could put in here would be 2s and 4s. They would be the lowest digits, and we can't put 2 2s in that region because of where it's, well, we just can't. There's just no way without breaking Sudoku. So what that's telling us is that one of these is a 4. That means one of the teams contains a 4, which I think everybody could have told me at the start. So one of these is a 4. And the other one, let's make that one a 4, just for the sake of exposition. So if this is a 4, right, if this is a 4, it's surrounded by the other team. So this one, does it? Well, no, it doesn't. No, it absolutely doesn't. I was going to say, does it have to be 1, 3, but it doesn't. Because look, we could simply, if we just simply shade that in, now I could make 4 in a variety of, well, I could make the 4 like that. That would work. Double 1, 2. And that would put 1 and 2 into the other team than the 4. Okay, alright, so that's annoying, because what that means is that we don't actually know. I know one of these is a 4, and the other one that isn't a 4 does contain a 1. I'm gonna go that far, because if it didn't contain a 1, how could you make 4? You couldn't, because you'd be making, you know, you've only got digits like 2 and 3 to play with, and the moment you have 2 of those, they're going to add up to more than 4. So we've either got a 1, 3 pair hang on. So we've either got a 1, 3 pair or a 1, 2, 1 thing going on. And if it's a 1, 2, 1 thing, because you're repeating the 1, I think you're going to have to use one of these squares. Because if we didn't use one of these squares and we sort of had that going on, how could you make this 1, 2, 1? You couldn't, because you're going to have to repeat a digit and there's not space. And the same is true, obviously, if we put the 4 here and try it there, it's the same point. So what that means is that the team that doesn't have the 4 in it does have 1 in it. And either, sorry, those aren't valid, and either 2 or 3 to accompany it. But if it's 1, 3, it has to be horizontal, because it can't go, because these two are going to be forced to be in the other team. You can't put, you know, neither of these could be part of a 1, 3 pair for this digit. It just won't work, because we're going to connect with these. So it would have to be a 1, 3 horizontal. So let's just have a quick look at that. The problem is this could be the other way round. So if it's a 1, 3 horizontal, then these digits are all going to be in the other team now to stop this getting any bigger. I don't know what that means. Okay, that would have to be grey. But yeah, no. I can't do this, because this could be the other way around. The 4 could be there, the 1, 3 pair could be here, and then there's no clues to use on this side. So this is right. We're now getting into the realms of nonsense, and we don't want to get into those realms. So all we're able to, or all I think I'm able to say at the moment, is that these are 2 colours, these 2 4s. One of them has a 4 in. One of them has a 1. No, well, one of the teams has the other team has a 1 in, but not necessarily in one of these squares. And then the one that's got the 1 in either has 2 or 3 in it as well. So these digits are from 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's really underwhelming. Okay, well, let's just see whether we can do better up here. I might come down and think about this again, because I think it's not impossible. Actually, I don't relish the thought of trying to extract more from that, but it's not impossible. There is more to be found. I'm going to have a think about box 1 now. What? We know 4 and 1. All we know when we come to this box is that 4 and 1 are in different teams. Now, so, okay, right. So is it, do we have to allocate? Oh, no, hang on. Yeah, oh, I was going to say, do we have to allocate this digit to either a 14 or a 17 total? But that could be in its own world, couldn't it? Every area has at most 1 clue, but it may also have none at all. So that could just live in its own area and not be part of a 14 or a 17. That's very annoying. So in fact, that's vicious, because the other cell I was thinking was under pressure is this one. Because I was going to say, whatever colour that is, lots of these have to not be that colour. Well, okay, so that's sort of true anyway, isn't it? So let's just make that grey for the sake of exposition. If that's grey, then there are, the first possibility is that these are all green. And that's wrong. That's the first actual confident deduction I've made, I think. That cannot be true, because the 14 can't grow. I can't write 14 into this square, and if the 14 goes there, there are two areas of the same, or those are all the same team and they have 2 clues in, so that's not right, and it can't go here for the same reason. So this is wrong. Now, that's not that great, but it does give us one other deduction, which is that, okay, so I now know this grey, and remember grey might be green, but this has to grow. So it's going to grow into one of those. It's going to grow into exactly one of these areas. So let's grow it into this one. If it grows into this one, then we know all 3 of those have to. Well, that doesn't work either. That's just, I've just broken this one again. Yeah, actually, I'm going to take out my colouring from that one. And I'm going to just use, I'm just going to start up here, if that's all right. But because I think I can get colouring here a little bit, at least. I think. By which I mean. So let's go back. Let's make this grey again. Now, if this was grey, then these 3 all have to be green, and this 14 can't work. So that's impossible. So actually, we have got our first definitive. Well, it's not our first, but those 2 are in different teams. Those 2 cells. Now, what I can see from that is that square is also not grey, because if that was grey, these 2 would be green, and that 17 couldn't grow. So that is also green. Right, and now that square is grey. Because if this was green, I'd have two clues in that area. So now what does that mean? So now hang on, sorry, I'm not having any. So if that's grey, that's green. Okay, right. So this square, row 1, column 1, is in a shape. It either belongs to the 14 or the 17. What I mean by that is, let's make this one the grey one. Now we know this is green, but this green can't bump into its own team, so it would be forced to go into the corner, and that would have to be bobbins. I was about to say that doesn't work, but it does maybe, because that would have to be an 8-9 pair in this sort of paradigm. And I was going to say we can't make the 14 work because a domino that adds to 14 would need an 8 or a 9 in it, but that was because I was neglecting the possibility of that 14 growing. Yeah, so sorry, I can't do that. What I'm going to say instead is that I think that logic is symmetrical in the sense that if I make this grey, now this is clearly green, and this can't grow into this 9. So that's going to force the 14 to take the corner instead. So I don't even really know how to pencil mark that. So I was going to say these 3 squares are either grey or green, and that is that's not a deduction I'm proud of. Okay, so good grief. I mean, how on earth are you meant to do this then? I know the corner either belongs to the 17 or the 14 as part of a domino. So these 3 cells do include 2 very large digits. Because if the 14 is a domino, those 2 have to either be 5, 9 or 6, 8. And if the 17 is a domino, that has to be 8, 9. Yes, okay, and whichever way round that goes, well, on one side I can say something about, I think I could say something about either that one or that one. I can't quite visualize it. I'm just going to check. So if this is grey, then we know this is green, which means the corner is green. So we get this paradigm. You can see this has to be grey in this world. And this 14 can't exist as a domino because the 8 and the 9 have been hypothecated to the 17. So in this situation, this grey has to grow to there. So that's one iteration, is you get a grey cell here. But the other iteration is going to be, if instead of that we make this cell grey, then this is green. We get green in the corner here belonging to the 14. The 14 can't bump into that, so that's always grey actually. Oh, hang on, maybe both of these have to be grey. Yes, they do. Right, that's quite interesting. So what we've now learned is, because if we're in the other paradigm, this becomes grey to stop the 14 joining the 9. But look, the 17 here can't exist as a domino either, because again, if it was 8, 9, the 14 couldn't work. So this would have to extend as well. So you always have to extend, whether it's a 14 or a 17, you have to extend it into these squares. And to stop the 14 or the 17 bumping into the 9, you also have to take basically both of those are grey, whatever's happening in the middle. So I still don't know what's going on up here, but I do know that these are grey. And now, well now, do I definitely have to have a 9 up here? Because if I have to have a 9 up here, both of these 9s would have to grow. Now, if the 17 is 8, 9, I definitely have to have a 9. But if the 14 goes into the corner... Oh no, that doesn't work. Yeah, if the 14 goes into the corner, and that's grey, the The 14 could be 6, 8. And then I haven't used a 9 in those three, so I don't have that. Here's another thought. Okay, I've had a different thought, totally different thought. I now know that the grey team is sort of bigger than the green team. Because within these three squares, there are 2 greens, definitely, and there's 1 grey. Because whichever one of these I make grey to join with this, and I must make one of them grey to join with this, the other turns green and has to take the corner. So the total disposition of this is 4 greens and 5 greys. And one team has a 4 in it. One team has a 1 in it. The other team has a 1 in it. So whichever team whichever is the green team up here, that team what I'm thinking now is that the 4 and the 1, which are the only digits I definitely know are in different teams, the 4 and the 1 don't go up here. So doesn't there have to be a 4 or a 1 in one of those squares? Or is that not right? I think that is right. I think that's right, because what we're saying is there's a triomino here that's got 2 greens and a grey in it. And the 2 greens are either 2 digits that add up to 14 or 2 digits that add up to 17. So they definitely don't involve 1s and 4s. And yet, that green team does have a 1 or a 4 in it. So the 9 digits, so whichever one of the 1 and the 4 is in the green team must in box 1 be in one of those squares. And that means that will grow at least 1 cell. Or okay, let's try this a different way. Let's try and think about what would happen if either of these was a 9, because that's going to put so much pressure on this domino, or this triomino. Yeah, if either of these is a 9, then we can't have an 8-9 domino there. So we'd have a 6-8 domino here. Sorry, I'm not quite seeing what that does. Well, no, that does do something. That does do something. If either of these is a 9, oh, this is head-wrecking. If either of those is 9, because you've then got 2 greens here, let's fill it in. But these 2 greens can't. If either of these is a 9, this has to be 6-8 because it can't be 9-5. But it's something to do with the 1 and the 4, I think, because I know that the green team has got a 1 or a 4 in it. Oh, I see. No, I don't see. I don't see at all. I don't see. No, this doesn't work. Right. So if one of these is a 9, I'm not using geometry to disprove this, so I can make either of them a 9. I'm just going to make that 9. It's this cell I want to think about, because we now know that this has to be 2 cells, don't we? Or more. Or more. Oh, I've just had a horrible thought. But anyway, let me just think about this. So this digit it's either a 4, because we know that one of the colours has a 4 in it. Now, I don't think that can be a 4. This digit certainly can't be a 5, because 5 is on the other team in box 1. So the only way, so then it can't work. But it can't work anyway. I've only got these digits to play with, or am I going crazy? The only digits that are allowed to be in the green team, if I make this a 4, are 6, 8, 9 and 4. So that has to be a 6, 8, 9 or 4, and it can be none and add up to 9. Now, the other option, though, is that this is from the other group. Now remember that group is either a 1 and a 3, or it's a 1, 2, 1 thing, doing something like this, or that. Now, the digit we definitely know is in that set is 1, but the point is, I know that set also has a 2 or a 3 in it, and that's not possible because 2 or 3 is in the other team. Right, so this is good. This is good. When I say good, I only mean modestly good. What it does mean is that these grow. Definitely. These definitely grow. Which means that 6 is now not green, so that's grey. Now, okay, and I know grey. Oh, this is very tricky, actually. I don't know. I think there's going to be an awful lot of case testing that we might have to think about in this box. Depending on which way round this goes. I don't really know how to think about this. We could... I was going to say that I didn't think that could be grey, but I'm not even sure that's right. If that's grey, then this 6 would have to be a 1, 2, 3 triple, wouldn't it? Okay, I can disprove that, actually. That is okay to disprove. Because the only way we could make 3 different digits add up to 6 is if they were a 1, 2, 3 triple. They'd have to look like that. And now, this has to be framed by greenlinesses, because that's how this puzzle works. And those 4 digits there are all in a 9 cage, and they've all got to be different, and indeed they can't be 1, 2 or 3, so the minimum value of that is ginormous compared to 9. Right, so that is fair. That square is not grey, that is green. But normally, of course, you'd then go, okay, well, you can't make that green, because you can't have a 4-cell 9 cage, but that's not how this puzzle works, because in this puzzle I'm allowed to repeat digits within regions. So providing that digit is the same as that digit, that this could work. Although I've just had a different idea. Let me just think about an idea I've just had there. That is an interesting thought. I've got a bad feeling that I am doing this in the wrong way. Because the thoughts I'm having are slightly... I just don't think that how Phistomefel has set this puzzle. So what I was thinking is, can that be a 2-cell 6 cage? And I don't think it can. But the reason for that is odd. If this is a 2-cell 6 cage, those two digits add up to 6, which means they're either 2-4 or they're 1-5, and therefore those digits are not available for the other team to play with. And the minimum sum of those 5 digits, therefore, those 5 digits must all be different, mustn't they? Because these cannot repeat in here, and these cannot. Obviously there's no repeat digit in those green cells, so these are an absolute minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, which is 15, and that doesn't work because there are 6 digits here that add up to 15 at least, depending on whether green grows anymore. So that doesn't work. That's not right. So what are we actually learning from that? We're learning that this 6 clue is bigger than a domino. We're learning that it is bigger than a domino. Now, does that mean it has to have a 1 in it? Well, actually, that would be huge, because if it's got 1 in it, then I can... No, I can't colour these. But then I know 4 is in the other colour. That feels right. Okay, so let's extend this. Let's extend it there, which is the least possible extension. I could extend it here or here as the smallest possible extension. Now, if there is no 1 in any of these 3 clues, for them to add up to 6, they would have to be 3 2s. And they can't be 3 2s by sudoku. That's clearly not right. So that's impossible. And that means that the grey set now has a 1 in it. Right. So in box... No, that's wrong. No, I don't. It's the green. There's a green domino going up into the corner, not a grey domino. So now, well, no, this is fine. This is fine. So now the 9 in this box, because I know grey has 1 in it, I know green has 4 in it, and I know that green's 4 can't go up. Oh, it can. No, it can't. No, this is exactly the point. Green's 4. Green extends into the corner. In fact, why don't I do that extension? Because it will make things much clearer. That is either part of a 17 or a 14 domino. I don't know which. But whatever domino it's part of, that does not have 4 in it. Because 4 plus 10 is not a valid option for a 2-cell domino in this puzzle. And that means that 4, which I know is in the green... Oh, in fact, look, I can do that. 4 is in the green set. 1 is in the grey set. That is true. I just don't know how to colour these. So 4 is in one of those 2 squares. It's a bit, I don't know if it's got, I've got a funny thing turned on in terms of, I can't really see the large digits. Let's turn large digits on and see if that helps. No, that definitely didn't help. It might be because the puzzle's a slightly different size because of the this aide-memoire thing at the bottom where we can record the teams. So there is definitely a 4 in one of those now. That's true. Now the two, okay, so the 2 green digits that live in the corners up here, they do not, they right, they absolutely, oh, this is beautiful. Is right. So now I know 5. I think I know 5 is in the green set because yeah, because I don't know where this green domino goes, but let's say, but the digits it's made up of, if it's a 14 domino, it's either 6, 8 or 5, 9. I hadn't thought of that. No, that's okay. No, that's not okay. That's not okay. That's okay. Now I've overlooked a possibility here. It's definitely true to say, though, that if this was an 8-9 domino, meaning 8 and 9 were green, the digit that accompanies the 4 in one of these squares to make it add up to 9 couldn't be 8 or 9, could it? So say that was a 4. What is this digit? And that's making me think maybe this has to be 5, 9, because I could then make this 5. Although what on earth, how would you make that work? Really, it's very interesting. It's really complicated. The other interesting thing I've noticed, by the way, just to make the point, is that I suddenly thought, okay, well, let's say that was 4, and this extended here. Well, that might lend me the opportunity to go that for a 9 cage. But that doesn't work because we know 4 and 1 are definitely in different teams. So we can't do that. So I'm sort of coming round to the view that I'm actually coming round to the view that my first thought was correct, which is that one of these is a 4-5 pair. And I might be coming to the view that the other is a 5-4 pair. Now that bit of it I'm not so sure about. Because can I do this without going through the options? I think it's clear. If green contains an 8-9 pair here, God, no, it's really complicated, actually. It is really complicated. Okay, so I think we might have to just trot through this to see it. Because if this is an 8-9 pair made up, so green is made up of an 8-9 pair, then we know that one of these is a 4. And we know that the extension of the 4 cannot be into an 8 or a 9. So we're left with a question. We know, because we know this is great, there is only one more green digit to come that is not 4, 8 or 9. And the weird thing is, we also know it's not a 1. So we can't put 1 into the other square of box 1 in green, because we know 4 and 1 are in different groups. So there is no 4-1-4 option So literally, the only way that you can make 9 dominoes work is with a 4-5 pair. I think that is clear. It would have to be 4-5, and then 5 becomes the digit that feeds back in there, and 4 becomes the digit that feeds over here. And that looks to me like it's designed to work, frankly. I think that is going to be the correct answer. But the reason this gets really complicated is that there are 2 other formulations possible in box 1, which are related to a 14 domino going into the corner. Now, one of those I'm still fairly confident leads to this being a 4-5 pair, but the other one I'm less confident about. If this was a 5-9 pair, then we know 5 is a valid digit for green in general. So whichever one of these is 4, let's make it this one, could just have a 5 beneath it and it would work. But the thing I think that's a problem now is this domino, because what digit do I put here? And the answer is there is no valid digit, which is weird. And the reason there's no valid digit is, let's pick a digit, let's put 2 in there. If that's 2, what's this? Ah, and you're all going to say it's 5 with a 2, aren't you? And that would be correct. Oh, okay, well, I hadn't thought of that. Wow, okay, so that's possible. I just hadn't seen that at all. This is really complicated. So, because what I'm seeing now is, okay, that's a 5, but there's nothing preventing this from being a 5. I've still only used the correct digits. And then if that was a 2, why isn't that allowed? Well, I can think of a reason that's not allowed, but it's brutal. I mean, it's sort of a 3rd stage deduction. And the reason that's not allowed is there's no way to make this 6 work. Remember, this 6 isn't a domino. We worked that out. We don't know where it goes next, but it's at least 3 cells large. And it's only made up... If this was the world we're living in, where this is a 2, the only way... The only digits we have, low digits we have available to go in at least a triomino of 6-inch are 1 and 3. And I could get to a number like 5 with a 1-3-1 triple, but I can't get to 6. I can't use 3 1s. There's no way I can use 3 1s in a 4-cell shape and not break sudoku. Alright, so okay, I'm happy that that's not possible. And I think any other digit here doesn't work. If we go for 3, this digit is now 4, 5, or 9. And whatever it is, it's not going to add up to 9 without another digit, which would have to be at least a 3, and it won't work. Wow. Okay, so that's really viciously difficult. That's viciously difficult. There may be a better way of seeing that, but we have now proved, interestingly, no jokes please, that this is not, it just cannot be 5, 9. So this, if it exists, is 6, 8. And that's interesting, because if the 17 clue goes into the corner, it's 9, 8. So now I'm going to claim there is definitely an 8 in one of those, and I don't know which team it's in. Now, if this is 6, 8, and one of these is 4, yeah, you can't, what do we marry it up with? You can't marry a 6 or an 8 onto a 4 because it won't add up to 9. So the only thing you can marry it up to is a 5. And that means once this is 4 and this is 5, that becomes 5 by dint of it being on that team. Right, so now we're getting somewhere. It's taken me a very, very long time, but we're getting somewhere. We can go all the way back here. This is a 4-5 pair. And these are a 4-5 as well, and that is the limit of how big these can be, which means we can frame all of this going to think about that in a moment. Right, that's become green. Oh, come on. All right, that's got to be green. Because there's no way that I can make a 5-cell sequence add up to 6. That's definitely green. One of these is an 8. We worked that out. Can't. Yeah, I don't know. I might put that in the middle like that, just so I can see. Now, can that really be grey? I was pausing there because I could see that if that was a 1-2 pair and that was a 1-2 pair, that might even be possible. So you could even have something ludicrous like this, adding up to 6. I know one of those 3 squares at least is a 1, because I know that you can't make 3 different digits add up to 6. We looked at that. So, oh, come on, Simon. Is it something to do with this? I know that 4 is green. Grey includes 1, and it includes 2 or 3, or both, but definitely 2 or 3. I suppose, okay, all 3 of those digits are very low, aren't they? They can't be 4s or 5s, they're in a different team, and they definitely can't include 6, so all these are very tiny. Do we know? I mean, how can we make all this progress and then just hit an absolute brick wall? And not only is it a brick wall, I don't really know where to look. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm being very, very slow here. It's not going to be something like, I know I've got 5 grey digits altogether. I just don't know what they are. And I've got 4 green digits. So, and I've got 2 more green digits. Okay, so the 2 more green digits that we've got are either... Oh, they do include 8 now, don't they? Yes, because we worked out that the 14 couldn't be a 5-9 pair. Right, so either the green is a 6-8 into the corner, or the 17 is an 8-9 into the corner. So 8 is green, and the final green digit is either that or that, which means 7, 2, and 3 are all grey. Oh, that's going to be huge. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. So now... Oh, I've got it. I've got it. So now that cannot be green. Because if that's green, I'm adding at least a 4 and a 5 together. Oh, that's so clever, Phistomefel. That is so clever. So now that's grey. What does that mean? That means that Come on, Simon. It means... So grey is very, very low digits. Right, okay, so that is not grey, I'm going to claim. I think that's got to be right. Because if this is grey, then I'm adding up at least 3 cells here, but I can't add up those bottom ones because of this digit. I can't put 1, 2 and 3 in there. So that means the minimum these could add up to, if I make this a 3, the absolute minimum I could make this would be a 1, a 2 and a 6, assuming 6 was hypothecated to the grey team. And 1, 2 and 6 add up to 9. Good grief. Right, so that's green. Right, and this is interesting now because this 8 has to grow. And it's growing here or in both directions, but whichever way it grows, it has to grow because obviously 8 is not grey. Whichever way it grows, it's going to share a boundary with this, which must now be green. And that's interesting for this digit, I think, because, well, obviously we're not writing 10 into this square, are we? But if you look at the digits that could possibly be green, they're all massive. So doesn't this have to be a domino in some direction? Because it can't be 3 digits, because we'd be adding at least 3 4s together. So it is a domino, and that means that that is a 4 or a 6. Oh, a C. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. And the light dawns. Do you see why that's beautiful? Oh, Phistomefel. Because what this does, because I've got to make this a domino that adds to 10. And the only way, I can't put double 5 into it without breaking sudoku. It's going to have to be 4 and 6. But what does that do? It turns 6 green. And if 6 is green, we know 9 is grey. And now, presumably, I can come back up here and work out, yeah, 8 and 9 are in different teams. So the 17 doesn't go into the corners. The 17 is grey. The 14 is green. This is a 6-8 pair. That is not an 8. So now... I don't know what quite that's going to do, but that feels like an enormous breakthrough. Come on. Why is that an enormous breakthrough? It's an enormous breakthrough because... Okay. One reason it's a breakthrough is I've got 4 greens in that column, so those are all grey. I hope I'll be able to do better than that, but that's one thing I have noticed. Yeah, that is useful. This is so staggering. I just don't know how he does this. Look, now this 8 can't join there. Because if the 8 joined there, it's in part of a massive region. And those 4 digits would all have to be different. They'd add up to at least, what's that, 13. That's too many. It's much more than 8. So that's got to be green. We know this is part of a green domino. So that's a 4-6 pair. That's got to be ringed by greyliness to stop it growing any further. So now... what's that done? That's going to do something, I'm sure. Oh yes, first thing is I need an extra green in that column, because there's 4 greens in every column. At some point, I'm going to learn which one of these is 4 and which one of these is part of the lower set, which... No. I don't know. I might come back and look at that in a minute. It looks... Whichever one is the 4, which is the green digit. That one might be able to be. If that's the 4, all of those are grey. And that has to grow, which... Not sure. There is some clutterage down there, but I can't quite see how it works. Let's try... Cool. What about this 17? That can't go there, can it? 17. Oh, okay. So if this was grey, then we've got a 6-cell sequence at least adding up to 17. And those could be a minimum of 13. So these would... Oh, that's okay. They could add up to 4 and be 1 and 3. Oh, botheration. Sorry. Okay, so maybe I can't do this digit. Okay, what about this 8 then? This 8, can it go there? Can we have a 4-cell sequence? Oh, no, you can. 1, 2, 3. And then put 2 in there. That would work. That would add up to 8. Right, sorry. I don't know. I really don't know where to look. That square is 6 or 8 by Sudoku in this column. One of these is an 8. I'm going to have a look at this. If that's 4, then 4 we know is green. So that becomes green. That gets surrounded on all sides by grey. And now that 19 couldn't be grey. So that would be green. Well, the problem with that... no, that does work. If that was 5, 6, 8, that does work. Okay, sorry. Let's have a look at that the other way then. If that's 4 and it's green, then those 4 have to be grey. And this is now either a 1-3 pair. Okay, that doesn't... Oh, good grief. This doesn't work. I don't think this works, because this is a part of a sequence that adds up to 4. Now, how are we going to extend this sequence? We can't go there, because that's going to make too big a region. We definitely can't go there. That's an enormous region. So I think the only way we can do it is by going downwards like this. And that's fine, in theory, except... I don't see how the 19's working now, because the only way this works is like that, isn't it? This is all framed by green. So these are both green. Yeah, and sorry, and the problem I'm seeing here is that I can't make 2 digits add up to 19. I could make that green, but I can't see a way. Oh no, I can. Oh no, I can't. No, goodness me, it only just doesn't work. It really is close, because you could make a tetromino add up to 19. If this was 4, 5, 6 adding up to 15, and that was a 4, it would work, but that can't be a 4 under this paradigm. That's unbelievable. I mean, that's so carefully thought through, isn't it, by the constructor? So what that's telling us is that this is not the 4. This is the 4, and therefore it is green, and therefore this is grey, all of these are grey, framing the 4 in this square. This is got to be we've got to be very careful with this clue now. And the reason I say that is it definitely can't join here because it's got to add up to 4. So that's definitely green. This 19, well, is what I'm about to say. No, in fact, look, it's easier than that. We've got 5 grey digits in this box, so they have to be green by dint of count for this clue. And now those have to be 3 green digits that add up to 19, which means that I think they have to be 5, 6, 8. That's the only way that can work. That's a 4, so that becomes a 6. Therefore, that becomes a 6. That becomes a 4. That's a 4. That's a 5. That's a 4. That's a 5. Oh, 6 is in one of these squares. Now, what do we do with this knowledge? I don't know yet, but that got moderately exciting for a moment. That's an 8, because I've got to have an 8 in green in that column, so that's a 6. 6 and 8 go in. One of these digits is a 4. One of those digits is a 4. We've still got to think about how this grows, you know. It's either a 1-3 pair here, which I think is okay, and that would be surrounded by loads of green. Oh, that doesn't work. Right, it's not that, because I get too many greens in the bottom row. Yeah, that's really interesting. So in terms of how we make this 4 up, one option was to make that grey and make this a 1-3 pair. And what I'm seeing there is, because we have to then surround this with greens, those would both be green. I'd have too many greens in the bottom row. So that's not right. So this is definitely, therefore, green. This has to grow, so it grows down there. Now it becomes a 3-cell region adding up to 4. There's only one way that can work, which is like that. That therefore becomes green. That's the final green in the bottom row, so we can fill in the other 2 greys. Those therefore become green. This is a 4. And now, no, well, 1. 1 in that row's got to go there, because 1 is in the grey team. So 2 is in one of those squares. So 2 is in one of these squares. How can this possibly solve from here? There's only one more clue. Okay, there's 4 greens in this row. So in fact, 4, 6, it's 5 and 8 into those squares. These are definitely grey, which means that's definitely green. So these are from 5, 6 and 8. This is from 5 or 8 only. So there's a 5-8 pair here, I see, okay, and then a 4 in one of those squares. That sort of makes sense, doesn't it? Wow. Okay, let's go back and have a rethink about this 17 clue, because I think now, when I thought about whether those 2 squares, well, when I thought about whether that was grey, I thought that could work if these were sufficiently low. But that doesn't work now, does it? The minimum those are is 1, 2, 3, 7, which I think is 13, which means these 2 have a maximum value of 4 under that paradigm, but they can't involve a 1 now, so their minimum value is not low enough, it's 5. So that square becomes green, which is the last green of that box, and in fact places the 4. So we get the 4. There's a 4 in one of 2 places in box 5. Right, and now we're going to do this sum? Is that the way? Is that where we're meant to go now? 4 digits adding up to 17. Okay. Well, my first thought there is that there are not... Yeah, okay. So there's got to be a repeated digit, because you can't make... If I pick a subset of 4 of those digits, you can't add them up to 17. So that means the only way we can do this is if there's a repeated digit in this tetromino. And the only place there could be a repeated tetromino is if this digit repeats there. So those digits are the same. And they are not 9, and they're not 1. They're definitely not 9, because obviously then we'd already have 18. So these are 2, 3, or 7. Now, let's go through them then. If it's 7, 14, this would have to be a 1-2 pair. That, hang on, 7, 1, 2, that would make this a 3. And that would be a 9 under that world, in that world. I'm not sure, that might be okay, I'm not sure. Double 3, let's try that. So if we go double 3, these have to add up to 11. Which could be 2, 9. Why doesn't that work? Hang on a minute. Oh, here's another point. That digit has to go there, I've just noticed, by sudoku. Look. Now that square is under no pressure at all, but that digit is 2, 3, or 7 as well. Oh, okay, so that's actually helpful. Where's 9 in this column? It can't go in an 8 cage, can it? So 9 is up there. And that then bounces back here. So 9 is not in there. But no, hang on. I don't like this, because I hadn't looked at this being double 2 yet. Let's just back up. I made a mistake. It is. Let's get rid of this combination here. I don't think I've made a mistake in saying this is 2, 3, or 7. That's got to be right by sudoku on the greys. Okay, and if that's true, it is also fair to say where is 9 in this column, and it does have to be there. And what that means is that this is not 3, because this cannot add up to 11, therefore. So we can do all of those things, but what we can't do is rule out 2 from here, because if these were double 2, these would add up to 13. And that is not possible at all, actually, in grey. You can't do that. Right, that's great then. So these ones are all 7, which means this is 1, 2, or 3 by sudoku on greys in this box. If these are 7, we worked out they were a 1, 2 pair, didn't we? So these are now a 3, 9 pair in column 1. This square is a 3 by sudoku. Oh, that's lovely. Right, so this 6 thing now is finished, because we can't make this grey. If it's grey, this is a minimum of 1 plus 2, and that's a 3, and that's still not able to be 0, so that's definitely green. And these are different. Those 2 digits are different. I might actually record that in case that becomes of interest. Those are different digits. That's not 3. Now, this square is 3 or 9 by sudoku. These are 2, 3, or 9. Where's the 2 then? That's got to be a 2 by using this digit. So these are a 3, 9 pair by sudoku. So these are a 2, 7 pair by sudoku. So these are a 3, 9 pair by sudoku, and I get a 7 in the corner by sudoku. I mean, Phistomefel, what are you doing to me? Right. That square is definitely green. If it was grey, this 8 region would have a lot of digits in it. So what that means is, I don't know, I'm trying not to cough, that's bad. We've got this clue still, sort of sitting out on its own, not being very sociable. And I've got grey digits. This is going to be a 1-7 pair somehow. I think. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Sorry. I haven't got a clue where to look. I can see that there's a 4 in one of those squares. I'm resorting to sudoku. I don't feel like there's many clues we've not looked at. We looked at the 19. We looked at the 10. The 17 is adding up, isn't it? I think it's adding up. I've got a 1-2 pair there, so these squares are all high. Yeah, look, there's some. Whoever's created this, there's a sort of extra bit of the grid there. Ah, maybe this is how this has been. Okay, so this has been probably put together as some. Yeah, it's been put together as an 11 by 11, I think. And then somehow they've got the graphics to remove those. Okay. Okay. So how do we do this then? Is this in any way obvious? No, that was about to be a bad question. Oh no, it's not. That's not a terrible question. This is not a terrible question. Where is the 9 in this column? In fact, now I look at it, I can ask a different question. I've got 4 greens in this column. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's all the greens I'm possibly allowed. That's got to be grey. That's okay. That's weird. That was not what I was expecting. But now I can ask the question that prompted me to ask that question, which is, where is 9 in column 4? Because it's not here by sudoku, and it can't go in an 8 cage, so it's got to be there, I think, which gives me a 3. Right, where's 7 in column 4 now? It can't go in the 3-cell 8 cage, can it? So 7 must go at the top. And these squares are low digits. They are 1s, 2s, and 3s. Okay, but the maximum value of these 2 squares is a 2 and a 3. That would add up to 5, and the maximum value of that is 2. That gets me to 7. So this is still not enough. It's got to grow more, and it presumably can't grow more than that, because then the 3 digits, or the 4 digits in this box, whichever 4 we picked, would be worth at least 13, and the 13 is bigger than 8. There is a knowledge bomb. So this is the extent of this cage. This square, well, that's got to be also a 1, 2, or a 3 by that logic. So these, this is so clever. So these squares now do add up to 6, which makes this a 2, that a 1, that a 2. Remember that these had to be different. That a 2 by sudoku. This is a 1, 3 pair. There's a 2 over here. Wow. And we are slowly inching our way towards this clue. We've got 4 greens in this box, so they're both grey. These, in fact, I know the order of those. There's 7, there's 9. That's good. So that's 7, that's 2. 3 can't go there, and 3 is the last grey digit for this column, so that square is green. Can we... yeah, where's 5 in this column? That's got to be it. So that's 5, that's 8, which means this is 8 by dint of sudoku on the green set. So these squares here are 4, 5 and 6 in some order, and that's not 5, and that's not 4, and that's not 6, of course. So we get chocolate teapotted well and truly there. Ah, no, we're still chocolate teapotted in column 5, but we do know that the top digit is grey, which is a tiny win, which we will take. So this square is 1 or 3. No, this is fine. Where's 9 in this column? It's got to go there, which means that square's got to be 1. And one of these is a 3, and that's the final grey cell in box 2. Okay, one of those two is an 8, but I don't know which one. How much heavy lifting does this clue have to do? The answer is a lot. So, how do we do that? If it's grey, well, I don't know really. That's grey. Let's have a think about that. What is that digit if it's grey? And the answer is, in fact, the answer is 3. That's interesting. Ooh, there's a 2 there and a 1 there by Sudoku. Ah, yeah, okay. Look, we could have seen 3 is in one of those squares for sure by dint of the fact we'd already sort of identified the 3s. So, okay, so that's probably 3, adding up to 12. And then we need 5 more with using grey digits. So we're probably looking at... Well, okay. We're not looking at 2, 3, are we? So we've already got 9, 3. And we need 5 more. Now, 2 is a difficult digit to put into this set. Because the only 2 we could have, I think, is this square. Because 2s, the positions for 2s we've already got in the rest of the grid. So if we want to put 2 in, it would have to be that square, but then we need a 3, or... Well, yeah, maybe there's an easier way to look at this, actually. Because if we just look up here and pencil mark these squares, they're massive. Because 1, 2, 3 and 4 have all gone. So... Yeah, so... And because 5 isn't in the grey set, yeah, this is difficult. I think this doesn't work. So if this is 9, 3 in grey, we can't go up here. So we have to get 5 more from this box somehow, using grey numbers. So 9 and 7 are out. We can't repeat. We can't do something like double 2, 1, because we'll use 2 2s. So the only way of doing it is with 2 and 3, and we can't repeat the 3. It's very straightforward. So this is green, and it's definitely not 3, therefore. It's something else. Right, so where is 3 in this row? It's on the same cells as 2, so this is a 2, 3 pair. And 2 and 3 we know are grey. Now, I've got, where's 3 in column 7? Because it's not in those squares. It's not here. So 3 is in one of 2 places, probably. And this digit is a green digit, so it's 4 or 6. Okay, but if that's green, green's massive then. Yeah, that doesn't work. If this is green, the minimum, well, we know what those 3 digits add up to, and it's 19, because they don't involve 4, and that 19 is more than 17. So that is grey, And that means this green has to grow, oopsie, that green there has to grow downwards. It's picking up this digit. It probably can't go there. No, because it's 4. We know that would be too much. Don't know whether it can go here. No, it can't go there. I've already got 4 greens in this row. This is done. This is done. There we go. So all we've got to do now is get those 3 digits to add up to 17 without using... without using 8. 665. That's the only way you can do it. Because you can't put 8 in, you have to do 665. And it only just gets there, but it has to be 665 like that. Right, so that does 4 here, 5 here, 6 here. Can we tidy up the pencil marks of some of this? Probably is the answer. That digit is grey, so it's 7 or 9. These squares, oh, they've got to have 4 and 8 into them, so we can do that. So 4 goes there, and 4 is definitely green. And that means 3 goes here, and 3 is definitely grey. So that means that's definitely a 3, and that's definitely grey. That's all the greys for box 2, so that's green, and is... 5 is now placed, so that's 5, that's 8. These squares do not include 5 anymore. The top... oh no, well, okay, so how do we do this now? We've got 1, 7 and 9. That is a naked single 9. This is a 1, 7 pair, which we can do. That's no longer a 7. Where is 1 in box 3? It's there. 1 is a grey digit. And I can presumably do sudoku on this row. That's definitely a 6, which is a green digit. So that's no longer a 6 right at the bottom down there. I need to put... how do we do this? There's a 5 here, so it's probably more straightforward. If we just stick with sudoku, that's 5, that's 6. 5 has to go there. That's good, because that's green, and that puts grey in the corner in the form of a 2. So 2, 3, 3, 9. That's an 8. That must be 7, that must be 9. Right, now we can colour these in. So 9 is grey, green is 8. 1 here gives me a 1 here. 1, 3, 3, 9, 9, 3. Bingo. What a puzzle. I think I've shaded everything in. Where's the tick? Looks good. Solve counter 25. New link with solution, 81 minutes. Yeah, an hour and a half. Wow. Okay, well that's flown past. That has absolutely flown past. And it doesn't include the solution. So I don't know it's correct, which is it's a total disaster, frankly, because it means I'm going to have to spend some time staring at it to try and work out whether or not it's correct. It felt correct. I mean, it did actually. The fact that it was that 17 resolved in one way gives me some comfort that it's probably not wrong. And if it does appear right, what I'll do is I will create a new version of this with the solution embedded in it, so that everybody can, it should automatically check it. That's just, I mean, isn't that an incredible puzzle? How could you think of having the idea again? How do you have this idea, and then what Phistomefel does is he has the idea, and then he makes the puzzle that you could ever make using that idea. And that is really a staggering thing to be able to do. I mean, it's strange enough and brilliant enough to have the idea, but then to make the best puzzle that you could possibly have using the idea, that is something else altogether. I love that. I am a bit nervous that there might have been a very quick way of resolving how that thing worked. Although I will say that when I was able to sort of... It was this, I mean, the fact that this 10 cage resolved that was utterly beautiful. That you could sort of wend your way slowly down the grid, get that 8 was something, get that the 8 had to extend somehow to hit the 10, and that the 10 then had to be a 4-6 domino, and that determined the nature of the green set. I mean, that series of beautiful steps, that could have been intended. That could have been intended. And how do you have the idea, even if you have this idea up here, how do you have the idea of sort of that 4 and 1 being in different groups is so important to how you work it out? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you do things like this. I really don't. All I do is solve them. Phistomefel, take another bow, my friend. You are a wonder. And let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.